Then, in the castle of Archduke Vernars, we can see Mord is standing in front of the Archduke. The Archduke then says to him that he heard that he has officially become a warrior, and he has also easily passed the god of combat spirit. Mord bows down and says that all the things that he has heard is true, and now he has come here to claim his reward. The Archduke says that he is pretty ballsy, and also asked him if he has requested the god of combat spirit just to become a warrior. Mord replied that he couldn't continue to watch the instructor give up on his duties. The Archduke gets up from the throne, and as he climbs down the stairs, he says that he has no issue with his action, as the strong one are those who are right, is the mentality of the Vernars. He then comes face to face with Mord, and by exuding his mana, he asked Mord that why did he hide his strength from him in the past. Mord replies that he was merely being more careful with the utilization of mana when he was using the impulse, and it was the first time he had used it. The Archduke gets that it is a clear lie, but he decides to let it go and smiles. He then says Mord that if his decision to enter the god of combat's grave is still the same. Mord replies it is the same. By hearing this, a subordinate of Archduke requests him to rethink his decision as allowing Mord to challenge the god of combat's grave before the officially announced warriors will arise many complaints. Hearing this, the Archduke gives an deadly look and tells that how dare he is to tell him to rethink about his decision. The subordinate gets scared and lowers his head and asks for the Archduke forgiveness. The Archduke says that a promise is a promise, and he will allow Mord to challenge the god of combat's grave. Also, despite not knowing that Mord wishes to gain for this, he allows Mord to go there. Mord kneels down and thanks the Archduke for allowing him. He also smiles as he finally gets the chance to collect his first world fragment. After that, Kessner takes Mord to the entrance of the god of combat's grave. Essner then tells Mord that only one person can enter at a time, and no matter what dangers he face, unless he dies, no one else may enter. Mord knew that the entrance of the god of combat's grave is in the basement of the Archduke's basement, but he didn't accept it to be this big. Kessner then says that he didn't thought Mord will get to challenge it before him. Mord agrees with him, and says that he has never thought that he will get his chance so early. Hearing this, Kessner tells Mord not be too surprised as it is the result of his hard training, and also wishes that he returns back unharmed. Mord starts to walk towards the entrance by saying thanks to Kessner for showing concern about him. As he stands close to the gate, he feels a bit odd from the aura coming from the gate. According to the founding myth of the Vernars Duchy, the god of combat, Vernars has never faced death. He fulfilled his destiny as a human and only left this world to become a god in the heavens. The name God of Combat's Grave is merely a name that Vernars made. It has a different meaning. The human side of the god of combat Vernars, the place where the remnants lie. While thinking this, Mord puts his hand on the gate and the gate opens and bright white light comes from the inside. Mord then starts to walk inside the gate while he is entering. He thinks that, as described in the novel, 7 years from now, Aiden manages to find a world fragment inside the god of combat's grave. He get that with the help of an aide. But however, the world fragment should still exist here at this point in time. Thinking this, Mord gets inside and the gate closes. Getting inside of the god of combat's grave. Mord gets shocked as this is completely different from the grave that was described in the novel. There are 6 different layouts within the god of combat's grave. However, the pattern that appeared in the novel, it was merely one of 6. Mord then thinks that no matter what layout it may be, they all have a seal, and all he need to do is find that seal. The seal is supposed to be a stone statue that represents the life of the god of combat. Mord starts to roam around to find the statues. As he is roaming around, he noticed some noise coming from his behind, so he turns around and sees that hellhounds are tailing him. He gets surrounded by the 2 hellhounds, and the hellhounds rushed towards him, as one of the hellhounds is about to land an attack. Mord uses his fist and punched the hellhound's head and shatters it. He then throws an aura punch at the other hellhound and also kills it by piercing its body. He then starts his search of finding the seal. After roaming for a while, he comes in front of a huge 2-headed ogre statue. By seeing this, he gets that it is the first seal, and this is the monster that god of combat Vernard's kill when he was young. Mord then looks carefully and sees the statue of Vernard's on the top of the ogre. As the statue is in a pretty high place, Mord uses his mana and jumps on the shoulder of the ogre. By seeing the statue of Vernard's from close, he thinks that this statue is when Vernard's was 10 years old. Seeing this, he also understands that why the descendants of Vernard's are so big. Mord then activates his divine blood power and cuts his wrist and drops a few drops of blood on the statue's head. After doing this, Mord thinks that it would have been very hard for him to find it if he didn't have a clue beforehand. He also thinks that the method of unsealing is very weird, as after awakening divine blood, who would think to drop blood on the head of the god of combat statue. After that, Mord jumps of the statue and gets happy, as he is the first to claim it. He then starts to move on towards the next seal. As Mord is leaving, the statue's head starts to crack and its eyes looks at Mord. As Mord walks, he fights with various types of monster. He fights with a huge green snake, few dozens of hellhounds, and with skeleton warrior. One kick from him is enough to kill the skeleton warrior. Mord has come deeper, and the monsters are coming at him continuously. Mord again comes face to face with a green snake, and now he cannot even dodge the attacks as he is in a narrow alley. As the snakes launched its attack, Mord concentrates his mana in his right fist, and with one punch he kills the snake. There are monster birds that are flying high up in the sky. The bird will be a big trouble if they attack Mord. But there's nothing to worry, as the birds only attacks those who tries to climb the wall. Mord is safe in this case, as he is walking on the ground. So far, Mord has managed to find 5 seals, and all he need to find is the last one, and then he can finally gain the world fragment. Mord walks on and goes deeper. The deeper he goes, he can sense more mana. Mord is already tired from fighting with all the monsters on his way, and he has not much mana left as he used the divine blood 5 times. But at last Mord has come in front of the 6th seal, and he can see a huge dragon statue. The statue is so big that only climbing it will be a hassle. As he was standing and staring at the statue, a huge noise occurs, and he quickly looks back and sees that a huge ogre is coming towards him. Mord gets shocked to see that an ogre appears out of nowhere. Ogre is a monster that even a magic fighter that learned sword impulse would have trouble with. And they're also dense in mana and have a physical body on par with bodies enhanced with physical reinforcement level 1. The ogre then shouts and attacks Mord. Mord quickly dodged the attack, and the attack lands on the ground and cracks it. Ogres are normally 4 meters in size, but this guy is taller than 5 meters. The ogre again attacks Mord, and he again dodged it. Mord then counterattacks with concentrate mana in his hand. He hits the ogre's face, and it spits blood from its mouth. The ogre then catches Mord with his hand and throws it at a wall. Mord flies away and hits the wall and cracks it. He also bleeds from his mouth. Mord understands that he cannot defeat it with impulse only. The ogre runs towards him and throws a punch at him. The punch hit Mord, but it didn't do any damage to him. At the right time, he awakens his divine blood, and from the power of it, the ogre flies away and falls flat on the ground. Mord then walks towards the ogre. The ogre quickly gets up and screams. Mord jumps high in the sky and attacks the ogre with impulse. The attack hits the ogre's head, and the head of the ogre bursts. Mord thought that he would defeat the ogre without using his divine blood, but he was too conceited. He then gets down from the ogre's body and jumps to the head of the dragon statue. He sees the statue of the god of combat at the top, the dragon, and finds it odd about the height of the statue. Mord finds it a bit odd, as the height of the statue is smaller than Archduke Vernard's, who is 2.5 meters. He then decides to leave this matter aside and starts to unseal. He drops his blood on the head of the statue and gets excited to think that finally the world fragment is going to be his. He waits for a while, but nothing happens. He starts to think that if he has done something wrong, according to the novel, Mord should have get the world fragment by now. Mord then starts to leave as he wants to check if the other seals are unsealed properly. As Mord is about to leave, he hears a voice from behind which says that he expected Mord to be hot-tempered, as he is his descendant. Hearing this, Mord quickly turns back and gets shocked to see that the statue has come to life. The reason Mord decided to enter the god of combat's grave was because he remembered that Aiden had obtained a world fragment inside it. Thus, there's no way he would be aware of these events unless it was written in the novel. But however, Mord didn't accept something like a stone statue to move like this. He thinks that it is a hidden trail. Mord then asked that who is he? The old man didn't answer and says that he likes Mord's energy and also asked him that how old he is. Mord gets angry and awakes his divine blood and says to answer his question first. Seeing the awakened state of Mord, the old man gets impressed. Mord then punched the man, but his punch didn't affect the man. The man then gives him a headbutt by saying that he is rushing too much. Getting hit by the headbutt, Mord flies away and hits a wall. The man rushed towards Mord and says that he will now give him a proper greeting. Saying this, the man throws a punch at Mord's stomach. As the punch hits Mord's stomach, he falls from the sky and hits the ground hard and breaks it. Fortunately, he didn't get serious injuries and he gets up, and while whipping the blood on his face, he thinks that if he is seeing an illusion. The old man gets down and comes towards Mord and asked if he really didn't know who he is. Mord replies that he is well aware that he is a stone statue of the god of combat Vernars. The man tells Mord that he is wrong, as he is what the god of combat Vernars left behind, and he is his shadow as a human. Hearing this, Mord gets shocked and recalls that within the novel the god of combat's grave was known to have the remnants of his human self. So, this would be the grave most suited to his human form, not his godly form. However, in the novel it was recorded that the stone statues of his life achievements existed. Mord then understands that Vernar's remnants were stone statues that had been imbued with his will. Seeing Mord is thinking hard, the man says that if it is too hard to believe, then he will show him now that this is reality and it really hurts. Saying this, he rushed towards Mord and punched him. Mord tries to block the punch with his arm. The man laughs and says that he is much weaker than he has thought. Mord gets angry and says, "To stop playing with him. Looks like you still have energy left to face me? Perfect. This is what I expected from my descendant." The old man said this and throws a punch at Mord. Mord sees the punch coming and quickly dodged it and gets behind the man. He then throws an impulse ball at the old man. Seeing this, the old man says that he didn't expect him to use a trick like that. The old man then hits the impulse ball and a huge explosion occurs and covers the area with thick dust. Mord ambushed the old man, but the old man saw him and grabs his face and throws him in the sky. "Only a weak-end like you would need a trick like that." The old man said this and jumps towards Mord. The old man gets closer to Mord and starts to punch him like a madman and says that he loves to beat people with bare hand. While getting hit by the man, Mord thinks that if he is dreaming, as the difference between their strength is so big that even with his divine blood powers he is unable to stand in front of this man. The man then smashed Mord on the ground, and by sitting on his chest, he continues to punch at Mord's face. After a while, as Mord gets knocked out, the man stops his punches and gets up from Mord and gives him a nice kick. Getting hit by the kick, Mord flies away and hits a wall and gets his senses back. The man then tells Mord that he is disappointed in him, as he would be death by now if this was a real fight. Mord shouts at the man to shut up, as he is not doing yet. As Mord gets up, he gets shocked to see that his awakened divine blood state is being released. "Huh? That's all it took to kill your divine blood state? Are all my descendants as weak as you?" the old man asked. The old man then walked towards Mord and said that it's enough for the introduction, and asked Mord that if he believes who is he now. Mord says that if he really is the god of combat, Vernar's shadow. The old man replied that he is and says that he can treat him as Vernar's is here. The man then says that he has seen plenty of faces who has challenged this dungeon, but he is the first one to awaken him. He then asked Mord that how much time has passed since he has been awakened. Mord answered that it's been 500 years. The man gets shocked to hear that so much time has passed away, and it's not like that the riddle was so hard to solve. It's most likely that nobody has been able to awaken you. Because after you reached the heavens, there had been a conflict between your two sons regarding the successor as the god of combat. The loser took most of his subordinates and a few artifacts of yours, and while the losers were unable to get their revenge, one of the artifacts Set lost, and that artifact had the secrets to this place. Mord tells this to the man. Mord then thinks that, as recorded in the novel, that, in the far future, someone finds those artifacts within the ruins of the god of combat, and that person becomes Aiden's aide and helps him gain a world fragment. Hearing the story from Mord, the man feels ashamed, and then he asked Mord that if he is aware that what it means to awaken him. Mord straightforwardly answered that he is not aware of it.